Adventist hospital. Many of our hospitals in the world just do business as normal. In fact, I know of at least one hospital that has no vegetarian diet, and they actually serve pork. There's another hospital in the United States, they sold half of it to the Catholic Church, and now the Catholic Church, together with the Adventist pastors, sit together to try to run our Adventist hospital. And now another hospital has just joined Walt Disney. They've become a partner with Walt Disney. Walt Disney is not a Christian organization. Walt Disney is a pagan organization. All the movies they produce, just about without exception, involve spiritualism. In fact, one of the workers for Walt Disney that used to be a graphic artist, he said that if you're a homosexual working at Walt Disney, they give you a bonus. They actually remunerate you and promote you if you're a homosexual. And our Adventist hospital in Orlando has just signed an agreement to partner with. And on the front of the hospital it said, our new partner joining the magic of Walt Disney. So if we have financial problems, who should we run to? Let's not run to God. Let's run to Walt Disney. Can you understand why God has allowed the locusts to eat us up? As long as we partner with partners that are not, it's like being married to a non-Christian. Be not unequally yoked. Do you think Walt Disney and an Adventist hospital are unequally yoked? Absolutely. What's going to happen to Orlando Hospital? I'm afraid it is going to have some rough financial times ahead because God is going to allow the cankerworm and the locust to eat up everything. Because if we don't run to God and we always run to the pagans to get help, God says, okay, you found your partner. I don't need the help anymore. So God has allowed for 30 years to slowly eat up our institution. That doesn't mean that we haven't had wonderful growth in other areas. Adventist World Radio, for example, has done some beautiful, marvelous things that have expanded into the world, and God is blessing in marvelous ways. We've had television networks, we've had some churches, and we've had baptisms, evangelism. But our institutions have slowly been eaten up. And in a Sydney Adventist hospital, no nurse is allowed to pray with the patient. If the nurse prays with the patient, they fire her. Only the chaplain is allowed to pray. So then why have an Adventist hospital? Why even put the name Adventist if I can't pray with my patients? I'm a nurse, and I always pray with my patients. And if I worked in Sydney Adventist Hospital, I would violate that rule and they would fire me. Because God is calling us to pray with people. They're hurting. They can turn on the cable network and they can watch pornography right on our cable network right in the hospital, but we can't pray with them. Do you understand why God has removed His protection? At some point God says, you know, I'm not playing games anymore. And of course you might say, oh, this is terrible, but look what they're doing. Did you know that Adventist homes have, many Adventist homes have Harry Potter? Now it's time to get personal, isn't it? Did you know that many Adventist homes watch telenovelas? Oh, David, you're getting close to home. Don't talk about those things. Talk about Sydney Adventist Hospital. That's easier. No. This is the same problem. Because if we bring in the world into our home, we bring in witchcraft into our home, we watch the movies, we watch the violence, we watch some of us have pornography problems on the internet. And we do all of this and we say, Lord, please bless us. How is God supposed to do that? And so that's why it says here, I have sent this army among you to eat up all of your harvest. But the promise is beautiful. Look what it says. I will restore to you all the lost years. The last 30 years that we should have been focused on the mission and growing, God's about to give it back to us. I think it's beautiful news. God is about to perform a resurrection in the church. God is about to pour resources. And you say, well, David, where are we going to get the money? Would you like to know where God keeps His money? Nobody? Okay, I won't tell you. Would you like to know where God keeps His money? Raise your hand. Come on, help me a little bit. Okay, for those of you who raise your hand, the rest of you don't listen. Okay. Look in Ecclesiastes 2. Ecclesiastes 2:26. For God giveth to a man that is good in His sight wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner He giveth work or travail to gather and to heap up, that he may give it to those that are good before God. So God has all these sinners working day and night, 24 hours a day, working overtime, trying to pile up all the wealth. And he says, keep working, I need the money for my people. And then when they're all piled up and they say, this is my kingdom, God says, thank you, and he gives it to us. Where does God keep his money? In the hands of the sinners. Where is God going to get his money to give to his people? He's going to take it away from the sinners and give it to us. And what did God do in Egypt? When the Egyptians, Israel was only slaves. They left empty-handed. They were going to leave empty-handed. But God said, no, wait a minute. Go back and ask all the Egyptians for all their gold and silver. And they went out, and the Egyptians were so happy to get rid of them. They gave them all of their gold and earrings and necklaces and gold this and gold that, and they just piled it in, and they left for Egypt with great wealth. So where does God get his money? From the Egyptians. From the Babylonians. From those that don't know him. And they've been working hard in accumulating wealth, and God says, okay, thank you very much. I need it now to do the work that I have to do now. Now, you see, I think this is going to happen possibly in the next few weeks, maybe early January. God knows the exact timing. I can't say the date. All I know is that God said in a few days. Now, this is not only a promise for me. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because it applies to anybody. It applies to everybody that is working for God and trusting God and putting everything on the altar. Many of you came forward last night and said, Lord, everything I have, everything I am, I want to give it to you. Cleanse my home. Make me pure. But you know what? God is calling us to think higher than we ever have. Why are you here on earth? Why are you in this church today? What is your reason? You just exist because I was born so I can accumulate money and get a job, retire, and die. How many of you would love to just work, retire, and die? Raise your hand. That's the real reason you live. Nobody? Exactly. Nobody just wants to work, retire, and die. We want to have something bigger in life. Wouldn't you like to be part of a master plan to reach the world? Wouldn't you like to be part of a plan to explode across the planet and reach everybody who's dying? Those that are enslaved. Did you know that in Africa there's thousands of slaves? The Muslims many times go into areas and they capture the Christians and they take them and sell them and use them as slaves. And then the Christians sometimes in some countries they fight against the Catholics and the Catholics against the Protestants and the Muslims against the Christians. All over the world there's all kinds of violence and there's all kinds of turbulence. But there's literal slaves in the big cities. I can tell you that probably in Iloilo, probably in Manila, there's probably slaves bought and sold. Boys and girls being used in sex trafficking. And they have no choice. They can't get away. If they try to get away, they will be caught and punished. There is slavery in the world today. Wouldn't you like to be part of a plan to set people free? With great power, go forth and be part of God's ministry to a world. Some are caught in the slavery of poverty. No way out. And God says, go rescue them. And there's some that are caught in the slavery of sin. They don't know how to set themselves free. And God said, go, show them that I can set them free. This is what God is asking his people to do. But you say, I don't have enough time or money. Now, this is the secret. If you allow God to use you, and you give God everything you have and everything you are, God will pour out his Spirit. He will give you the resources to do the job that he wants you to do. And it's about to happen in the next few weeks. I don't know the exact date. All I know is that this is what God promised. And you know what? Before the economy crashes, maybe God will do it before the economy crashes. I'm praying that will happen. The last little opportunity, while we still have money, to work and use it. Of course, God is a genius, so if he wants to do it after the economy crashes, that's okay too. In fact, my wife reminded me that Israel got all of their money after everything crashed in Egypt. After the economy was destroyed, after the hail rained down, after everybody lost their firstborn children, after Egypt was totally destroyed, that's when Israel got rich. Interesting. Maybe God wants the nations to crash first, and then he will raise up a people. I don't know. But if he wants to do it before, here I am, Lord.